I just finished making the coolest mess kit ever. Let me show it to you. Coming right up. Hello everybody, thanks for coming back for another video. This is Dave, and I'm glad you're with me today. I want to show you this mess kit. I just finished it up, and it's got some really cool features in it. Stuff that you've probably never seen before in a mess kit. And I'm kind of excited to show it to you and the ideas that I came up with when I made this. Let me reposition the camera here. There we go. All right. So if you saw in the past video where I went to a thrift store and I found these two sets, these are actually lunch boxes from ecolunchboxes.com. They're kind of pricey. Let's see if we can get that in there. Yeah, so these are kind of pricey. I think this one on their website was like $39, and this one was like $50, a bigger one. But I got them at a thrift store for $2.99 each. Can't beat that. You can't beat that with a stick, you know. So I set out to when I saw it, I thought, man, that'll make a really nice little mess kit with some modifications. So without further ado, let me show you what I came up with. So this thing's got these really nice little latches it came with that pop off like that to separate the components. So you've got the top compartment, and then this is what we've got in the lower compartment. And I'll show you that here in a minute. So the first thing I did was to this lid here, it comes off, and you can use this as a plate. You can use it as a signaling device if you wipe all my fingerprints off of it. Or just use it as a plate, you know. And then in here, I'll show you what I have. And there's room for more stuff if you wanted to add it. I was going to weigh this and I forgot. But I don't know, if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably a couple of pounds. You know, it's definitely not for a backpack or anything like that. But yeah, for camping, car camping or tent camping or camper camping or whatever, you know, this would be perfect for that. So the first thing I did was I added this handle so that this can be used like a skillet. Let me get these components out of here and I'll show you how I did that. So I took a piece of stainless steel and basically rolled it over to make like a hinge here. And this is that 308 TIG rod, the 1/8 inch diameter. And yeah, I just bent it up to where it forms a pretty nice handle for it, you know. It does hang down a little bit, but that can't be avoided. I had to do that so that the lid would fit on and it would fold up flat. But now it functions as a little skillet. You could use this as a skillet now. The handle's easily taken off if you wanted to. I riveted it, if you can see inside there. I used some nickel plated brass rivets to attach that on there. So there it is. The first modification I made was to make this one upper dish. Both of these dishes, the lower and the upper, are the same size. They're basically the same dimensions, and it's about 5 inches by 7 inches in size. So I found a set of stainless steel collapsible cups. I just give it a little twist, and now you have a stainless steel cup that doesn't take up very much room. So this little cup here came in a set of 3. Get this out of the way here so you can see. It came with the large and a medium and a small. And the small is very small. The lid detents right here. It's supposed to friction fit on there good, but it doesn't. It's loose, you know. These were made in China, obviously. And I feel if these were made in the United States, they'd be a whole lot better quality than this. So you got this one here where the lid basically just falls right off of it. But I have to hand it to them. They got this one centered. It's centered fairly well. The large one, the one that I'm using in this kit, is not at all centered. When they spot welded it to the bottom, you can see where the spot welds are right there. Not even close to being centered. Unfortunately, but I'm not going to send it back just because of that. You know, it works. It serves its purpose, you know. So that fits nicely in there. And then these are film canisters, 35 millimeter film canisters. I'm old enough to where I use 35 millimeter film, so I didn't buy these canisters, but I looked them up and you can buy like 20 of these for around $7 on Amazon. And I just have salt and pepper in these, but these would be perfect for spices. You know, you could put, you know, any spices you like and however many of these you like, and fit them in your mess kit, or, you know, make a little pouch for them or whatever. These are made from polypropylene plastic, which according to what I found online, it's the safest plastic for food is polypropylene. So, and that's what these are made out of. So really handy for stuff like that, you know, salt and pepper, spices, whatever. So yeah, there's the collapsible cups. This one here doesn't fit on either. It's supposed to fit snugly on here, but they don't. I can fix them to where they do. But anyway, that's what it is. What it is, you know. This was another thing that came with the mess kit. It fit in the top section right here sideways, but I really don't have. I mean, I could put the salt and pepper in here. Let me see. Actually, look at that. Actually, look at that. I've got room for one more in this little thing, you know. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I didn't reincorporate that into the kit. I may in the future if I do any more work on this thing. But the next thing I made is a folding spatula. Yeah, so I looked up folding spatulas online, and there was quite a few to choose from. None of them this design here that I came up with. The problem with them was, you know, the dimensions even folded up were still going to take up quite a bit of room in this kit, and I wanted something as compact as possible. But you know how handy a spatula is, especially when you're frying and stuff like that. You know, you want to flip an egg over or whatever. So I made this little guy right here, and I made it out of my old camping spatula that I extended the handle on. It was about that long, and it was actually riveted onto the spatula. So I took the handle off, I saved it. I may make another spatula out of it or do something else with it in the future. But I took that riveted handle off, and then I made this little device here. And you can actually, I like this one here because none of the others you can adjust the angle. This one here, you can adjust the angle of the handle wherever you like, and then snug it down really good wherever you want it. But the way I made this is I took there again a piece of the same stainless steel that I used on this right here. I used it there again on this, and I made a little put a little barrel on it, and made a little plate, and then I just spot welded it onto the spatula blade, and it covers up the original. You see the original rivet holes where the original handle attached, and now it's I've got this plate, and then just a little knurled nut, and then I think this is I didn't measure it, but I think this is 16th inch stainless steel TIG rod. It's the thinner gauge. It's not the same. It's a little bit thinner than the stuff I used for the skillet handle. But I'm actually getting really low on that, and I have plenty of this size, so I opted to use that. But you know, it's perfect handle for, you know, spatula. It's perfect handle for it. So anyway, there's the folding spatula. So you just loosen up the knob and boop, she folds down flat. doesn't take up much room at all in the kit there. All right, moving down to the lower section here. This is what we have in the lower section. So right here on top, we have a nice cooking spoon. This was a spoon that I used to have in my camping gear, and it had a blue plastic handle, and the handle broke. And so I just threw it in a drawer to put a handle on it in the future, and I saw it and I said, that's perfect. I'm going to add a cooking spoon to my mess kit, which isn't something that you usually find in a mess kit, a spatula and a cooking spoon. But I put a teak wood handle on it, and I made it a little bit shorter than it originally was. Originally it was probably about that long. And so I made it shorter just so that it fits in here perfectly. I made it to where it actually just perfectly fits in here. Put a little leather thong on it. And I used teak wood there again for the handle. I use teak on pretty much everything in here. And so there's your cooking spoon. So you have a cooking spoon, spatula. I'll lay all this out when I get done. And then I made a couple of little, a fork and a spoon that I just cut down and put teak wood handles on them, made them shorter. These are probably about the length of baby spoons, but you know, they're adult size, fork and spoon, but about the same length, you know, so that they're more compact, but they're still, you know, still very usable. So this fork here, I just flattened it out and then added the wood handle on it just to make it a little bit more compact. And so there's your fork and spoon. I was originally going to make these where they folded up like the Boy Scout folding utensil set. The spoon doesn't fold, but the fork and the knife do in a Boy Scout set. But I did make a a folding butter knife, and I'll show you that. I modeled the blade after the Boy Scout blade with the built-in bottle opener, and it does have a spring in it, a round spring, and very simple design. Didn't spend much time on this at all to knock out, but there again I used teak wood, and then I just epoxied a long round spring rod down in. So this is made from a butter knife that I cut down. And I sharpened it up a little bit. It's got a little bit of an edge on it, so you can cut a steak with this for sure. And I made it with a half stop. And so there's that. So there you have it, the fork, knife, and spoon set right there. So I took advantage of this bottom section, having these two latches, and I made this right here. Very simple, just made it out of aluminum. And what it does is it hooks into these latches. They're already attached to this bottom section. And now you can hang it over a fire. You could hang this, you could boil water in it, make tea, coffee, you know, cook soup, whatever, hanging over a fire. So you've got something here that, you know, you can prop up on a grate or in between a couple of rocks, or lay in the coals, or whatever you want to do with that. Or you can have, here's another one that hangs, so you can cook that way also. And we're not done yet. Got a couple more features to show you in this. So in the bottom, we have a cutting board, a little 5x7 cutting board. And it's just a piece of birch ply, and I just cut it to where it would fit perfectly in the bottom here, and I measured everything to make sure everything would still fit and close up and all that when I put this thing together. But the only thing I did with this, besides cut it and sand it, is I put my homemade food grade finish on it that I use on all my cutting boards. So I don't know about you all, but I'm a big fan of wooden cutting boards. I feel like there's enough plastic in our lives that we don't have any choice in the matter. And so when we have a choice of whether we can buy something out of metal or wood versus plastic, I'm always going to choose wood and metal over plastic any day. Plastic has its uses, but anyway, I just like a wooden cutting board. That's my personal preference. So what this consists of is food grade beeswax and mineral oil. That's it. You mix it up to whatever consistency you want. You heat up the food grade. You can buy the food grade beeswax in pellets on Amazon, and I'm sure other places sell it. And it's clear. It's not that yellow tint. Basically, it's that color, you know, when you buy it in the pellet form, or that's how I bought it, in the pellet form. And I melted it down. I just gradually added some mineral oil to it till it got to the consistency I wanted. When it cools, it stays in kind of a paste form. This is like the consistency of shoe polish. And that's how I like it, just to touch up my cutting boards. You just take a clean cloth, dip it in there, wipe it on your cutting board, and if it's the initial time you're coating it with this, I'll take a hair dryer or even my heat gun at times if I'm in a hurry, and I'll warm it up until it soaks into the pores of the wood to seal it, and then just wipe off any excess when it's dry. And then just every once in a while, all you have to do is pull this out, grab a clean cloth, and give it a wipe down, and it really protects the wood. Pretty much everything you cut has moisture in it, I guess, unless you're chopping up nuts on it or something. But then that moisture out of the tomatoes and the peppers and the onions and everything, won't affect won't get into the pores of the wood, and it'll protect it quite a bit. Oh, and then also too, when you're making this, I use the same exact stuff for leather treatment a lot of times. So to waterproof leather, on that stuff, I add more mineral oil, so it's almost like a Vaseline consistency. I didn't grab one of those batches to show you, but I've got another batch where I added more oil to it and less wax, so that it really soaks into the leather. And there again too, I'll take a hairdryer sometimes and heat it up and let it really soak into the pores of the leather to waterproof it. So really good stuff, handy to have around. Really good finish for cutting boards. The other thing I have inside here in the very bottom, the last thing I have inside this mess kit, it's just a little I'm not sure what ounce leather it is, but it's thin. I could probably fit a heavier weight leather in here. But yeah, so I'm sure I have room to fit a thicker piece of leather in here if I wanted to. But this to me is kind of a scrap, because if this was heavier weight leather, it's a nice size. I could make a really nice knife slip or something like that, something else with it. So this is thin, but it's perfect to use as a hot pad. Yeah, so you could just wrap this around the handle like that, and now you've got a hot pad you could use. Yeah, so you can just use your imagination, but all you could use a little piece of leather like this for: a hot plate, a hot pad, whatever. Let me reposition the camera and I'll put this thing back together for you. Okay, so the first thing in is the leather hot pad, hot plate, whatever you want to call it, in there. Then we have our cutting board. That lays right in. Then we have our pot hanger hook. I just made this out of a scrap of aluminum, bent it up, and bent it to where it fits perfectly inside here. Like that. Let's see, and then also we've got our spoon, our cooking spoon. It fits in there just like that. Then we have our little folding steak knife, butter knife, and bottle opener. Then we have our little short spoon, slips in right there. And then we have our little fork, that slides in right there. Then in our top section, it just fits right on top. And then we have our spatula in here, our salt and pepper, and our collapsible stainless steel cup. Yeah, I never thought about it, but I assume you could use this stainless steel cup to heat up stuff with. It's all stainless. I don't see why not. Why you couldn't set this in the coals to heat up some water. to make a cup of instant coffee or tea or something like that, you know. Sorry, that might have been a little loud. And it's got a little keychain thing. I mean, great if it holds together, but like this little guy here, I mean, what good is it having the keychain on it when it won't even stay together, you know what I mean? Oh, whatever. Okay. So yeah, then you put your plate lid back on. You could bake in this too, you know, with it having this lid. You can set the lid on like upside down like that to keep food warm that you already cooked. Just set it up there. It fits up there pretty nicely to keep your food warm. Or you could, you know, bake bread in here or something, you know, if you wanted to. And then the lid fits on really nice, like that. And then you've got these, snap, and then your skillet handle folds up. And there you have it. I also bought this at the same time. It's a double walled. I kind of wish I waited around until I found a single wall, one that, you know, that way you could actually put some kind of a provision around the neck to where you can hang it over a fire to heat water up, to boil water. And you don't want to boil it in one of these double jobbies, but you know, you just take the plastic lid off and you know, fashion a piece of wire around here or something where you could put a ring on it and hang it, you know. So the plan is to make an OD green canvas pouch that this slips into, and then this slips in right alongside of it. Have a flap closure for just the mess kit, mess tin, whatever you want to call it, and then just a pouch where this slips in. Then you can, and this will be held in securely. This you can slip out and get a drink when you want to, you know, and then have a shoulder strap on it. So anyway, that's the plan for a future project, but I've got a ton of projects going on right now. So I'm going to wrap this video up. Hopefully you either found it entertaining or maybe it gave you some ideas if you want to put your own mess kit together. I grabbed this little pot that came out of a mess kit. The only thing that this came with was a plastic cup inside. And if you compare this to this, it's really not that much difference in size and thickness. And, you know, I showed you all the things you can do with this right here. Pretty impressive. So yeah, unfortunately, these things are pretty expensive, and I wouldn't have, even if I knew about them before I found this in a thrift store, I wouldn't go to the website and spend $50 on it because I'm too budget minded for that. And I still have this smaller one here, so if you have any ideas of what I might do with this one, I mean, I could certainly make a smaller mess kit out of it. It's just like the bigger one. It has the smaller stainless container inside that fits inside the upper section. Nice tight fitting lid, you know, and it has the snaps. This is identical to the bigger one before I did the modifications to it. So if you have any ideas on what I could do with that, maybe in the future I'll work on that one. And that's a wrap on today's video, folks. I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate all my subscribers. Leave me a comment down below. I love hearing from y'all. And this is Dave. See you in the next one.